Present this evening, President Kuchmera, Councilors Boschman, Zarello, Walsh, and myself, Councilor Minutali. We will start with an announcement regarding the recording of public meetings. I ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address.
Sam Squalia, 225 Scott Road.
Moving on to public forum, if there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the committee, they may do so at this time. You may speak on any item appearing on the agenda for not more than 2 minutes. Please stand and state your name and address and the item on which you wish to speak. Anyone wishing to speak this evening? Seeing none, we move on to the agenda. 003-20, in order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the MEMA Emergency Management Performance Grant in the approximate amount of $15,500 for the purpose of said grant, which is to purchase a fire extinguisher demonstration prop, equipment for heavy vehicle extraction, and hands-free lighting for the dive team. I have a letter here from Chief Roy to the Mayor on December 26th of 2019 that states, this grant will allow us to purchase a fire extinguisher demonstration prop, equipment for heavy vehicle extraction, and hands-free lighting for the dive team. This equipment will increase our ability to provide training services to residents and businesses of Fitchburg and will allow our tech rescue and dive teams to integrate their rescue training into action should an event arise where their response is needed. Chief Roy, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, Council, just Happy New Year, Councilors. Starting off another year on a good note. Just a couple of things. This is another emergency management grant that we applied through our Emergency Management Director, Rich Liberatore. This grant is actually going up a little bit in the last few years, but it's still a competitive grant, and it's really a good use this year. We've been using this old demonstrating fire extinguisher propane tank pan that we kind of made ourselves a number of years ago. That's gotten a little dangerous, but we go out and do a lot of demonstrations on how to use fire extinguishers at businesses, commercial properties, nursing homes, staff, those type of things. And they've got a much newer and safer one. It is a few dollars for it, but which we didn't have previously, so this grant helped us fill that out. The other two items we're buying under this is I've talked about many times, our regional dive team and our regional tech rescue team, which is a great program for us because it's regional. We work with other departments in the area, and a couple of things we didn't have, which was heavy vehicle extrication tools. And I know you all see on the nightly news on 495 and 128 these big truck accidents and things that you need special equipment. So this is going to enable us to buy some of that for our Rescue One that runs out of headquarters, and our dive team for hands-free lighting when we're doing our underwater diving, for whether we're doing for recovery of rescue of victims or working with the police or the water department. We've worked with doing some underwater diving for them. So it's going to make a much safer and more efficient operation for our people on our regional tech and dive teams.
Motion to approve?
Councilor Boschman.
One question. When you say hand-free lighting, when you get something on your forehead?
Yeah, it's
Almost
like
like
a
that
headset
stuff.
that goes on, and it's LED lighting now, so it's much more efficient, much brighter. It's really nice units.
Okay, that's it.
Motion to approve 0320.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 00320. All those in favor?
Aye. Pass.
It is unanimous.
Thank you, councilors.
00420, in order that there be and hereby is transferred the sum of $300,000 to be charged against reserve for snow and ice removal and credited to the following Department of Public Works snow and ice accounts. Personal services overtime, $60,000. Equipment rental, $80,000. Files and blades, $40,000. Salt, $120,000. I have a letter here from Commissioner Bostonetto to the mayor on January 2nd. The Department of Public Works respectfully requests that $300,000 be transferred from available funds to the DPW snow and ice budget. It's actually going to be transferred from the reserve for snow and ice removal. This year's snow season begun with a storm that dumped over 2 feet of snow and has continued with a total of 7 snow and ice storms. As of December 20th, we have already received over 50% of our average annual snowfall and accordingly have expended $393,992, or 40% of our yearly average, from the allocated snow and ice budget of $500,000. The additional $300,000 in requested funding should be allocated to the following snow and ice accounts, which I read earlier. This request for $300,000 will increase the total snow and ice budget for FY 2020 from the original budget of $500,000 to $800,000. In an average winter, our final snow and ice budget is about $1 million. So it would not be surprising if another appropriation request is required later this winter. Anything you'd like to add to that, Commissioner?
Yes, I have handouts. I don't know if it's...
Please.
Thank you, Commissioner. Here you go, Counselor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Can you just have this entered into the record? Please. Thank you.
So, yes, as you mentioned, so we're just requesting $300,000 extra to continue the snow removal process during the winter. We'll probably still be having storms, and coming up this weekend, I think we're going to have another big one. But we're doing very well so far. We're using contractors quite a bit. So you'll see, and these accounts are also, I think, you can move money between these accounts. So it's overall the total is what we're looking at. If you have any
questions? Council Kuchar.
Commissioner, have I seen this year? It looks new. Like we've done some pre-salting before storms. Is that correct?
Yes, so this year we're actually using less sand. We actually split the city in about half. So we're using salt only in a lot of areas, and that allows us to provide a higher level of service. You'll notice the streets look a lot cleaner. Also, we're getting down to bare asphalt a lot quicker. And the budget actually, we're within budget still. So even though we're using more salt, we're salting a lot more. We've had ice events, and we're pre-treating before it arrives. That way we can remove it. We're still staying within budget.
And that was exactly my question was, I've noticed with the pre-salting, of course, the concern is always, are we just spending more money on salt? But it looks like the roads end up getting clearer and getting so quicker. So do you find that ultimately offsets the number of hours and the number of passes that it takes for contractors to on these roads that have already been pre-treated?
Absolutely. When we pre-treat, it prevents the snow and ice from bonding to the asphalt, and then we can come with a plow and mechanically remove all that instead of having to treat it over and over again and having to come out because of people complain. So it's actually, it is quite effective.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
Council Zarella.
I'd just like to note for the record, in case anyone missed it in the reading of the order, that this is actually being transferred from a line item that was set aside specifically for the anticipation of additional snow and ice needs, so we're not actually going over budget on anything or losing money from the general fund on this. We planned ahead properly, and I'm pleased to see that.
Typically, we use free cash for supplementing this account. We started 500,000 and we used free cash. This year, we had the 500,000. Then we set aside another 600,000 in the reserve for snow and ice. So technically, we reserved 1.1 million, which is around the average that we spend. So if we go over that, that's a worse than usual winter that we've experienced. You see the average we've spent in the last 10 years is $983,000. So let's hope that's all we'll need to do. But we all know the climate in this region. Commissioner, I just have one question on this topic. I frequently get questions from residents about the practice of removal of snow from sidewalks. Not neighborhood sidewalks. Obviously, there's an ordinance that says people are responsible for their own clearance. Public sidewalks near schools. Frequently, that's kind of the amount of complaints I get 2 or 3 days after a storm hits. And I would assume that your team is busy at that point, still clearing and widening roads out before they get on the ground and actually hit sidewalks. Can you just briefly explain for the public watching, what is the process for sidewalk clearing? Does that take a backseat to the roads first and foremost, or do you have crews that are set aside for the sidewalks? Or are they all hitting the streets first, then they get to the sidewalks later? The big concern is around the schools, and I believe the schools are not responsible to clear the sidewalks around them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you're correct, Councilor. So what we do is we focus on opening up the streets first, and the reason we wait to do the sidewalks until we're done with the streets, otherwise we're just throwing snow onto the sidewalks again. So once we're done plowing, we come and we have two machines. Currently, we have two machines. They're the sidewalk plows. And you're accurate, again, when you describe, we try to get the school routes, Franklin, around Memorial, we go down Depot, so we try to hit up the main streets leading to schools. And right now, we have two sidewalk plows, so it does take a lot of time. We're actually, we submitted a letter to the mayor to ask for additional funds to buy a third sidewalk plow, which would allow us to put, once we're done plowing the roads, to have now 3 machines out. So that's in front of the mayor.
Personnel, or is it more the equipment?
It's the equipment. To plow the sidewalks, we have what's called a trackless. It's a small articulated sidewalk plow. It's narrow, it has a little plow, and then also you can put a snow blower on it. So when, like we had, starting in the December 1st, 2nd, where we had, 27 inches of snow, we actually had to put the snow blower machine on the trackless. So, like I said, we're per the mayor's, we're looking to get a third machine, which would allow us to get these sidewalks done a lot quicker.
So there's an expectation amongst a lot of parents that a day or two after a storm hits, the sidewalk areas around the schools in particular should be cleared because they're afraid about the kids walking on the road. I don't know if that's possible right now for your staff, but just something to note that people are paying very close attention to that. Maybe 2 or 3 days after a storm and it's still not done, they start to raise questions about the children's safety and what's taking so long. So that's why I brought it up. My own personal view, and I don't know if you can talk to the superintendent or the mayor about this, but I don't understand why the school department doesn't clear the sidewalks around the schools. They have their own maintenance crews. I'm assuming they have snow blowers. Maybe the equipment is not as advanced as we have to do that in a timely fashion, but I mean, the maintenance crews are out there plowing the parking lots of these schools. I never understood why the school maintenance department doesn't have a responsibility in clearing sidewalks around the schools that they maintain. I don't understand it. So I know we're going to help. We obviously need to help them, but I don't know why they're not first and front and center of doing that before you guys get there, or anything they can. And I was just told that it's just not what DPW is responsible for it. I think that needs to change. I don't know why it's done that way, why they can't help out. So that's just something I wanted you to take back if you could and let us know about, because I think that'll alleviate some of the strain you're under in getting this done in a more timely fashion. I'm all for the equipment being purchased. If the mayor puts it forward, I'll gladly support anything you need to get it done faster. But I think the school maintenance group needs to assist in this. I don't know why they're not. Not because they don't want to. They're obviously being ordered, or there's a policy or something where they don't touch it, you guys do. I think that needs to change, but just to alleviate the situation. Councilor Boschman?
I'm glad he brought up the subject about the sidewalks, not Paul Boschman. I just want to say one thing about the sidewalks here. I don't believe that we should be doing the downtown area and not do residential area. I'm totally against it. If you're going to do the downtown, then you should do residential. And if you can't do residential, then the property owners that own these buildings downtown should get out there and shovel, like you tell the residents. I got people in my ward that are 80 years old, and they obey the laws, and they're out there with a snowblower, 80, 85 years old, doing it, which is not right. And then we got the guy that owns a business. We just went down to a 0 tax rate. Everybody said they had to have it equal, so let's make it equal. They do the sidewalks. So that's what I want.
I guess that was sort of my question is, after the focus is on the sidewalks around the schools, do you then turn your attention to commercial areas so that people who are doing business in the city can freely do their business? Is that?
Yes, that's quite right, Councilor. So we try to do like sort of the main arterial roadways and the schools, again, trying to make sure that the children have a safe place to walk, but also keeping the city open for business. That's one of our main objectives in clearing the roadways and clearing the sidewalks on the major roads. It's making sure people can, keep the visiting businesses. So, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Just for purposes of clarification, because I know we're on TV and I don't want anyone to become alarmed, we didn't go down to a 0% tax rate on
Right.
businesses. We just went down to a 0% shift, which I know is what my colleague meant. I just want to clarify in case anyone misunderstood that. That's all.
You mostly do just the commercial selling downtown, right? In addition to the schools, school areas.
So we do, I don't have an exact map with me, but we do have a map of which streets, which sidewalks we do. But we actually do quite a bit of sidewalks. We come out Franklin, we go down to South, we come down Rollstone, we go down Depot on Main Street. We go
Waterloo
up
Street.
Mechanic Street. So we do a lot of sidewalks.
Yeah, I mean, to my colleague from Ward Two's point, I mean, the reason why the ordinance is what it is in terms of clearing sidewalks from thickly settled neighborhoods is because there's absolutely no way you guys are ever gonna get to every
Right.
quadrant of the city.
No, we couldn't.
So either neighbors step up and help out their neighbors, or people have to bear some responsibility for it. It's not because we don't wish to do it. You've got 20 people on staff, 25 people for over 200 miles of roadway, sidewalk. I mean, it's just not possible. We're not the
Right.
only city that demands that, that requests that of residents. It's to help us out, just like we have the fire department requesting every year that people keep their hydrants clear.
Right.
You know, because obviously we can't do every hydrant in the city. Everyone's got to be a partner in this, so. Yep, so any other questions on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
00420.
Motion made and seconded to approve 0020. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2-0.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You're adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
That was a quick.
This
Now we
seating
gotta find
actually worked out
something to
nice.
kill